Long time since a video, but we've made it, Auckland. Day 100 has been passed. We've done day 100 of lockdown. Not a great milestone to tick off, but this thing is not going away, and day 100 is where we're at. So much is happening, heaps of announcements, heaps of things changing, exciting stuff with new drugs becoming available, which have been touted to have amazing results at treating COVID, and we have no idea what life will look like this Friday when we switch to traffic lights. Everybody's still trying to get their head around it, but it does seem like it's going to definitely change the game of how society functions, and so that should be highly interesting. I think a lot of ways this won't work, but it's nonetheless where we are, and we're going to go for it. Most DHBs now, all but 2, have hit the milestone of 90% single dose vaccination, which is amazing, and a couple are now on this double dose 90%, which is good. And on this triple dose, they're now freely available to everyone who's had the first 2. So it's all happening rather quickly. Just when you think things are going back to normal, things have another twist and turn. And the latest thing which seems to be happening, there's definitely COVID fatigue, but there also seems to be a bit of protest fatigue. So we've had pretty regular lockdown protests, and overseas, and what I guess you'd expect is that they would ramp up. The longer you're in lockdown, the more it ramps up, the more people start joining this and say, hey, I was with you at the start, but I'm not doing it now. But it seems like we might even have a reverse in little old Kiwi land, with just people being fatigued about the lockdown protests. And so the protesters, as they often have done, have met at the Domain Saturday, Sunday, and I think last head count there was about 100 or 200, which in the Domain on a sunny day isn't really that different from a usual probably day in the Domain. This guy's just figuring out how to change the lanes. So maybe there's a bit of protest fatigue. I presume a lot of the people there are now vaccinated. They've said, we're here for the lockdown, but we're actually going to be vaccinated. We're going to wear a mask. So you don't have the true believers who are really the unvaccinated, unmasked, a few other alternative things, alt-right maybe, I don't know. But the professional protesters group seems to be really shrinking down. And I think a few factors that are happening there. A lot of people have had COVID now in New Zealand, and it's not that great. And so I think the realness of it is going to happen, and the fact that it started spreading throughout the North Island, I think people realise, this is just sequentially happening. It's happening slowly, but it's kind of moving into an inevitable phase. So it seems like we're moving towards a new normal. We were coming out of lockdown. We were going to move to traffic lights. We'd road tested the vaccine passes. Sport was on TV. Things planning for next year. And then I think COVID did the hold my beer. And the hold my beer move seems to be the Omicron. It's difficult. It didn't roll off the tongues like Delta. Omicron, 3 syllables, so a little bit trickier there. So Omicron has come up in the last 48 hours, maybe a bit longer, but certainly everywhere that seems to, if you Google Omicron plus any country, the next thing that'll follow will be travel ban. So countries are really closing ranks really quickly because of the O variant, or Omicron, previously known as the South Africa variant. So what does this mean? Well, it means like that whole idea of going back to normal seems like a good concept, but it seems more like an idea rather than an eventuality. Because Omicron, so what do we know about it? Not a lot, but it's got an interesting graph where it's sort of take up is like that, delta's like that, and alpha beta are like that. So this is this seems much more exponential than Delta. But what does that mean? So far, it's really unclear if a lot more people are dying. It seems, in essence, less people are dying. So Omicron came out of a part of the world with low vaccination rates, so good melting pot, a lot of circulating Delta, and who knows, evolutionary pressure. We've got this thing, Omicron. The World Health Organization seems to be going really hard on this, and I'm not sure, we'll find out this week and next, if we really need to be that worried at this stage. Certainly when we had Delta hitting countries, it's hard to be a denier when you realize the hospitals are ordering freezer trucks because there's so many bodies. So whether or not they died with Delta or something, yeah, but the clear increase in deaths. But I haven't seen any reporting out of the hotspots for Omicron of actually increased deaths. Now we do know that about maybe 90% of Africa is still struggling to get access to vaccines. So maybe their path to immunity might be a low level variant. What does evolution tell us? Well, there should be more pressure on variants that are highly transmissible but don't kill the host, therefore it can infect more people. And generally that's the thinking what should happen to the virus anyway. So that's yet to be seen, but certainly if it was killing a lot of people, you wouldn't think it would be able to escape. And escape is a big buzzword at the moment because they're talking about vaccine escape. But so that's the situation overseas. But situation overseas, Omicron, it's in Australia, it might be here, we don't know, we're checking. But as you can see, it's pretty hot here as well. So I think that's going to be interesting because certainly there's been a lot of hot places which haven't had hardly any COVID, namely Queensland, right next to us. So we will see what's going to happen in summer, but just to paint the picture of how hot it is, my phone actually just stopped working. Well, it said I'm going to close everything down because the camera is getting too hot here, and I'm sure it's not because of what it was filming. So that leads to us to think about these next 2 weeks. Are going to be so interesting because Aucklanders are definitely going to leave the city and they're going to be taking their COVID with them, and how this traffic light system will reduce the spread, fascinating. We will see. It's a big experiment. It's about to start on Friday.